Hello and welcome indeed to Factory Talk. Now, as more areas of the UK economy are given the OK to start trading again following lockdown, we've got a guest from a slightly different sector this week. Now, MyWorkwear is based in Telford and its managing director, James Worthington, joins us to talk about the company and the state of the UK economy at the moment and indeed looking forward. James, it's good of you to join us. So first of all, let's get a bit of information about MyWorkwear, about the company. How did it get where it is today?
Good morning, Richard. Thank you for having me on. The company is a family business. It's been going since 1976 when my father set the company up originally. We're now obviously into our 44th year of trading, so it's been going quite a long time. And I've been managing director here for the last 6 years now. So,
and I know sort of it does what it says on the tin, but just tell us about what the company actually produces.
Yeah, certainly. So we supply workwear, PPE, uniforms, and also teamwear. We're also experts in embroidery and printed logos.
Right, you've been going 44 years. Have you ever known anything like the last 6 months with COVID?
I can honestly say no. It's certainly been an eye opener for sure.
Yeah, and so, how have you got through it?
We've got through it okay, thank you. Well, so far, touch wood. Obviously, fortunately for us, we've just had our end of year was the end of March, basically, and we've just had our best year on record in the company. So we have gone into this quite strong. But I'll be honest with you, it's been pretty nervous at times. Myself and my business partner obviously have had, I think it was March the 23rd, somewhere around about that, when the Boris announced something. It was like watching, turning the taps off, I should say, really. It was like just watching the taps turned off, really. Sales just plummeted down to from 100 down to about 10%, basically. So we saw a drop of about 90%. And we're like, okay, this is interesting. What's going to happen here now? I mean, we're a great barometer, really, of how industry feels. And it was about a week later, I think, that we decided that it was best to obviously close the factory down for a period of time, and we furloughed all our staff, basically. Apart from myself and my business partner, we worked through it. We turned off the website because the website's visits just dropped off, so we actually turned that off. And then obviously because we've got our website's very established. We've had it for like 20 years now. We were monitoring it very closely just to see what the traffic was like. And gradually, I suppose about 4 weeks after the initial lockdown, it started to pick back up again. And we took the decision that we're starting to get more, when I say more generic workwear inquiries. Perhaps I should say, one thing that we have managed to do throughout the lockdown is we've always supplied PPE, and when I say PPE, it's your stuff like your high-vis vests, your safety helmets, your safety boots, etc. But what we've been doing during the lockdown, we've sold a lot of, has been a medical PPE. So it's things like your face visors, your medical masks, your disposable aprons, and all that sort of stuff. So that has actually helped us get through this, really. I mean, the margins are very tight, and and I've learned this, it's a real cowboy industry out there, but it's helped us get through. But as I say now, we're getting, business is picked back up again. As I say, we're a great barometer for this, and we're seeing a lot more generic type workwear orders coming through again now, which is great to see, really.
I was going to say, how much of a challenge was it for you then to start moving into the PPE market? You say you'd been involved with it, but you really obviously had to embrace it. How difficult was it for you to take on that challenge?
Yes, it hasn't been easy because, as you probably know, there's been a global shortage of face masks and anything medical PPE. There's been a global shortage, basically. So obviously we've got, let's say, half a dozen big suppliers, wholesale suppliers that we've used for many years that do supply medical PPE, but unfortunately their supplies dwindled very, very quickly. So we had to go out there and source new suppliers. Now we've managed to get some good suppliers, which has been great, but we've also come across, as I said before, some cowboys out there that actually let us down, basically. So it's been interesting. It's been interesting. and it's been pretty hard work, really.
Yeah, I did wonder, and I hate to use this term, but whether I suppose a good company is a company that can adapt and change as it has to due to circumstances. But whether that there is some positive for your company to come out of COVID, because as you say, almost by necessity you've had to look at new markets and supplying new products, and possibly that might be something that in the longer run for you turns out to be beneficial.
Oh, absolutely, Richard. Yes. As I say, we've now set up some great suppliers with medical PPE, and yes, we will be obviously at the moment we're selling it still because obviously there's a demand for it. But yes, it's created new. We managed to get new customers that we wouldn't have perhaps got otherwise, which is great. So obviously we can now supply them with medical PPE, but obviously there's also the opportunity to sell them, your more standard sort of types of workwear, like your polo shirt, your trousers, your sweat tops, your fleeces, etc.
Yeah, I suppose something you have to take into account as well. I mean, by its very nature, PPE, it protects, it covers. But if you're selling branded workwear, you still want the brands to be able to be seen.
Yes, very much so. Yes, you do. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important for business nowadays, isn't it, for brand identity, and that's where we come in to help companies like that.
Yeah. Is your market mainly UK based, or do you export as well?
Yes, it's mainly UK based. Yes, I'd say 95% is UK based. That's what we really focus on. And what obviously with the business, obviously we've got a website that we do a lot of B2B, but we do also do a bit of B2C. But obviously the website it focuses on all industry, if that makes sense. So we could literally supply to Joe Bloggs, the plumber, who's got a couple of guys that he wants to make them look a bit smarter. But myself, and what I do a lot of business networking and support a lot of trade associations. I focus very much on the manufacturing and engineering, and especially in the Midlands, really. That's where, because that's where the numbers are for us. If factories, you'll have, I don't know, 25 plus people that will need workwear. So that's what I focus on.
I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier. I think this is really interesting, the fact that you're probably a really good barometer of where we are and where we're going. What are you seeing then as far as manufacturing, as far as the industry is concerned in the UK now moving forward?
Yeah, what I'm seeing personally, and I'm pleased to say this, is obviously when we went into lockdown, everybody was very worried about the future, and obviously the future is still not clear at the moment. But what I do see, and I do feel, which is great for British manufacturing, is obviously if you go back to the banking crisis, it was just a few selfish individuals that caused that. Obviously, with the world pandemic, it's nature basically, and I just feel that moving forward, business is really keen to try and bounce back quickly. And I just, obviously I'm quite an optimistic person, but I just feel that I think there's a lot of, I do a lot of social media anyway, and I do a lot on LinkedIn, and there's a lot of positive chat out there about manufacturing and engineering especially. And, I just think people are just knuckling down, getting on with it, and just, we'll get through this. And I think there's a lot of positivity out there. And also, I know this is quite controversial, and I hope you don't mind, you might have to edit this out, but also what's gone on with China, and obviously the supply chain's been horrific, obviously on the medical side of things. I think you're going to see more British companies starting to manufacture medical PPE, which is fantastic, to bring it back to the UK.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, over the past few years, we've gone from, I suppose, global Britain was the phrase not so long ago, wasn't it? And now people are talking about, is globalisation coming to an end? Are we going to be looking far more inwards in future for manufacturing goods? Do you think that will happen?
Yeah, I do, and I hope it does. Yeah, I really do. I think obviously this has been a bit of a wake-up call for us all, and it's made us realise that we need to be a bit more independent. I mean, it's very important, don't get me wrong, to still obviously use foreign suppliers, but I think just as important, I think we should bring more back to the UK so we can have that independency, really.
Are you seeing in your orders then the signs that the economy is picking up?
Yes. The figures are a bit skewed at the moment, and I'll explain why they are. There's obviously the medical PPE that we're still selling, obviously, which has an effect on the figures. And then what also we're finding at the moment, and we're just trying to work this out, is that May and June have been fantastic on our website sales. And we've been when I say fantastic, it's been really good. We've seen a huge uplift in the actual sales. But when you break the sales down, they're very small orders. The actual average order is a lot smaller than it normally is. And we think that is probably the reason why these figures are skewed a bit at the moment is we think it's because obviously, unfortunately, you've got almost 10 million people furloughed at the moment. The weather's been pretty good. People, excuse me, people at home, and they're a bit bored. And I think they come across our website and they think, oh, I'll order a T-shirt or I'll order a cap or something like that. So the figures are a little bit skewed at the moment with these orders, and it's great having it's great having the business coming in. It's caused us a problem. It's caused us a bit of a problem operation wise because obviously there's been bottlenecks with lots of small orders, and we've had to recruit some temps to get through this, and we're now back on top of it. But I would say, in answer to your question, we're trying to work this out at the moment. We're operating about 70% capacity at the moment, I'd say. So it's going in the right direction, definitely.
Yeah,
it's a lot better than we're anticipating.
Yeah. That's all pretty positive. I mean, I want to turn to something else now. I mean, government announcements come at a fairly steady rate of knots these days. But we had the big one just recently with the summer budget, as some people have been calling it. The Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, announcing a whole raft of measures. Again, he was speaking of the importance of young people, of training, of apprenticeships. Is this something that you'd like to get involved with?
Yes, absolutely. Fair enough. Yes, very much so. As I said before, we're in a number of trade associations within the industry for manufacturing and engineering, and we also supply into quite a few training providers. So, for example, the likes of, which you guys, I know you work with as well, Income Training, we supply the workwear to those guys and all their apprentices. And then obviously you've got people like the MCMT, we supply into other people like Mate UK, their apprentice hub in Birmingham. So I get to feel and understand their pains, if that makes sense. And again, hopefully you might edit this out, but I do feel that what I've experienced, and I go to a lot of factories myself, is that what we need to be careful of with the UK is that we do invest in young people. It's absolutely critical. There's not enough young people coming into the industry. And it's probably a bit controversial, but there's a lot of Fred in the sheds, basically. I hate to use that term, but yes, Fred in the shed is great, but obviously Fred in the shed's getting a lot older now, and he or she will be retiring at some point, and we need to encourage more youth of today to get into manufacturing and engineering. It's absolutely paramount for the success of the country, really.
Do you know, I mean, I think that's been said by everybody we've had on this show, how important it is to increase the number of young people that see manufacturing engineering as a viable career route. What do you think about STEM schemes within schools? Is that something again that you support?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, STEM's really important, and we always try and help out with any STEM schemes that we get opportunity to do. We helped last year launch the Formula One in schools for Shropshire, which was fantastic. We had a really good turnout for that, and that's just getting school kids engaged in engineering, really. I think the problem you've got nowadays, and I'm sure you're aware of this, is that kids don't generally aspire to be engineers or designers or stuff like that. It's all, they want to be vloggers, they want to be football stars, they want to be social media stars. And it's just trying to get the message across that, engineering can be dirty and can be sexy at the same time. You know what I mean? It's just so yes, we do Formula One in schools. We've helped with that. We also sponsor the UWR University Race Team of Wolverhampton. We sponsor those guys, so that's great. So I get to go to a lot of their race. There's no racing this year, unfortunately, but that's been really good, and gets people in higher education, but again, into the STEM route.
So this is a question we ask it a lot, and I think it's an important question. If you'd got a magic wand, what would you say? What would you do to encourage youngsters into manufacturing, engineering, etc.?
I think that's an interesting one. I think we've just got to be more proactive about it. I know, as I said, there's like the Formula One in schools. I know Land Rover have got their what have Land Rover got? They've got 4x4 in schools, which actually we support that as well. I sponsored a team last year, Edge 4x4, that got to the World Finals, which is really exciting stuff like that. I just think, this is political now. I think the government need to push it more, and they just don't. Obviously, with the school curriculum at the moment, it's just not pushed through enough, really. And it really needs to start at the schools, basically, with what the teachers are teaching them. And I think engineering and mathematics and science and all that sort of should be pushed more.
Yeah. Oh, we could go on about this for hours. We really could. But there's three other things I want to touch on, and time's running away. So let's do them almost as bullet points. First of all, then, Industry 4. What are your thoughts? Are we on track?
My thoughts are no, we're not on track. I think I read the other day we're about 9th in the table at the moment of countries that are obviously embracing the technology. We really do. And I think, obviously, with what's gone on now, I'm hoping that companies are going to invest more in technology, because it is the future. It's absolutely the future. And we supply into a few technology companies that specialize in robotics and automation. I know there's a huge fear out there that robots are going to replace people's jobs, but when you really drill down into it, it's actually not going to replace people's jobs. Robotics is going to enhance people's jobs, and I think that's a really important thing that companies really do need to invest in robotics and automation and technology in general, basically.
Yeah, well, Industry 4 coming to play with your business?
Yes, it is. Yeah, very much so. Obviously, as I said, we've had a website now for 20 years. Data is absolutely key. It's paramount to our business, really. So there's a lot of data flowing back and forwards. Obviously, orders come in via the internet. It then goes straight into our order processing systems. Customer service is key. We have a CRM system, and we can see our customers, what they purchase, when they purchase, their buying profiles, etc. So yes, it is. It's very much into our business. If you go into the factory itself, obviously we've got embroidery machines down there. There's devices on there that can tell us each day the output that we're doing and what we should be doing. It can tell us if a machine's about to go down, so we can prepare maintenance, etc. So yes, yeah, very much so.
Okay, point number 2 that I wanted to briefly cover. Factory Now, I believe you're signed up and have a page?
Absolutely, yes. Very proud to say we've now come on board with you guys, and yes, we'll be shouting out about that on our social media channels very shortly and supporting the group, so it'll be good. Yeah.
Fantastic. And finally, I believe we've been on did you run 100 miles? Is that right?
That is true. In fact, it was 109.76 in the end. So what it was, in June, I decided to set myself a challenge. And I basically said I will run 100 miles in June and I'll raise money for the mental health charity. So I did a lot of running. It was good. And I managed to raise some money for the mental mind health charity, which was great. Thank you.
And you enjoyed it? The fact that you know it down to the last yard, the distance, some of them might have been a bit painful.
Yeah. Yes, no. Yes, I did enjoy it. I enjoy running anyway. I do that as part of a stress relief and just to keep healthy anyway. But I must admit, I haven't run consistently for 30 days, and I literally did run every single day. So there were some days where my legs, actually, the most tiring days, we've got 2 very small children. I've got a little boy that's 4 years of age and a little girl that's 1.5 years. And when I took my little boy out in the running buggy, I really did feel it because he's quite heavy.
James, I take my hat off to you, sir. Congratulations and a brilliant cause as well. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much indeed, James Worthington, the Managing Director of MyWorkwear. That's it for Factory Talk for this week. Have a good week. We'll be back with another programme in a week's time. Take care now. Bye-bye.